It is once again time to do our weekly Q&A session, which I'm actually very excited for today. It's been pretty damn fun. And if you're unfamiliar with what this is or what I'm talking about, it is simply just a Q&A session that we have here on Discord or also on YouTube as well for the members there. We can ask any questions, anything goes essentially, and well, I'll do my best to answer it. Not necessarily that I'll have answers for everything, especially looking at some of the questions from the past, not trading related. Anyways, before we get into it, I want to once again let you know that you can still get 10% off of all of your trading fees with the link in the description below for Bluffin. It'll be for the lifetime of your account, and it is a non-KYC exchange. And I've 100% fully confirmed with their team now that starting next week, we're going to be able to offer a bigger reduction, or technically it comes in the form of cashback, and it'll also apply retroactively to everyone who's already signed up through this link. And yeah, there we go. Really excited about that because it's a selfish thing, really. I want bigger fee reductions. That much is obvious. All right, sweet. First things first, we'll start off with the members here on YouTube first. This is specifically for the people who have actually joined the channel, who will get priority under the priority weekly Q&A group. And we'll start it off with Martin Sean Hunt, who is number one today. And he is commenting on the previously strong alts memes getting beaten up today, Friday. So he was posting this yesterday. And he wants to take a look at Dog with Hat, Bitcoin on the daily. Is it wrecked or is there hope? Well, let's see what this chart says running over here. First things first, I do think that it is very, very worthwhile to be looking at altcoin versus Bitcoin pairs. And let's see what this one is doing, just kind of get a general gauge of strength. And I don't know when I made this chart last, but it seems to me like the LARP lines are still playing out. I actually look at yesterday's price action or the last couple of days of price action as likely putting in the next significant higher low right here, compared to the low that we did see from November 4th. And of course, that was a higher low than what we did see in middle of September right here. So, you know, this is in a constructive manner overall. Would I say that it's wrecked? No. Do I think that it takes some time? Yeah. What does this kind of suggest for alts in general? You're probably going to see them continue on with these sideways consolidations for a little bit more time. There's a very obvious area to be getting excited about these things, or at least for Dog with Hat, if you're looking at the Bitcoin pairing, and that would be back above on a weekly closing basis, 42.70. If you can see that on a weekly closing basis, this thing should have a pretty nice run back up towards these highs that you saw from late May, probably even just goes for new highs from there. But I do like the weekly higher low here as well, in progress, just very likely to take some time. Short term, a little bit of sideways, probably a little bit of upside, but again, you know, you have a lot to be excited about. I mean, I would imagine that the exciting times do happen again above about, let's just call it 4,300, again, on a weekly closing basis. Until then, sideways corrective, and that is okay, especially as it does work off of these extreme conditions here on the higher term time frames, just looking at my momentum oscillators and volatility indicators. But yeah, short term, a little bit of sideways, a little bit of upside. Just give it some time. It's what I would suspect. And the US dollar pairing is probably going to do whatever Bitcoin does, as is usual. Anyways, let's now go over to Cousin Burley. Says, if there's time after others, all good, man. You are priority section right here. Snow and MicroStrategy on the daily. Okay, I will do multiple for the YouTube members here, but I will say for the Discord, we do have to limit it to one because obviously time is going to be, well, of the essence. So we'll look at MicroStrategy. Let me just make sure that's exactly what I wanted to look at. Yeah, MicroStrategy and Snow. Okay, Snow's a different one. MicroStrategy, we looked at this one, I think, on either Wednesday or yesterday. We said, hey, well, obviously it had to be actually yesterday. That Thursday, this massive bearish engulfing dodo is a signal alongside extremes here on daily BBWP representing volatility. You know, this is a pretty good inflection point, at least for the short term. Would I expect this one to come back down, you know, trade into the lower 300s, maybe around 335? Perhaps yes. Very likely, though, it has found a short-term high. The only way that I would invalidate that statement is if you do see a daily closure back above 453. Until then, it is short-term corrective. Very likely does, again, work off of these extreme conditions right here. This is the double derp signal that I'm speaking about, by the way. This is on a 4-hour time frame, to be fair, so it's, you know, it's not as powerful as a daily, but again, likely to proceed, you know, a little bit of a deeper correction. So that can easily come down to 335, maybe even all the way down to 310. But ultimately, long term, you know, it's still hard to hate this chart. I mean, kind of have to be bullish on this long term, but Short term, more corrective than not. And I think he also wanted to look at snowflake on nicey. Nice. Very, very cool. Yeah, long term, always hate charts that just generally go down like this. Is it in an up phase right here? Yes. The problem with these things is that, you know, until you actually get a real reversal or a real uptrend, it's very difficult to trust these things. Now, there are a couple things that I do like about this. We do see that there is monthly momentum twisting back onto the upside as long as this thing's above 117.5. And well, that's about it. Where would I call this one on an actual reversal? Need to see a monthly closure above 205. At that point, yeah, this thing can fly, you know, probably up to $300, maybe even more than that. But ultimately, I always hate charts that, you know, just go down. They have a little bit of a pop, and it's just another lower high. To me, that is a signal of bad things more longer term. Then we also have, actually we had a little bit of technical difficulties with some people whose comments were disappearing. I actually removed all of the mod words on YouTube now. So if there's any, if your comment is not showing up, it must be due to YouTube's own I guess algorithm and no settings that I put on, because I've deleted everything. And I think someone else was having an issue with this as well, and he said the workaround is to post much shorter messages. So yeah, let's see. Cousin Burley's back again. He's looking at Briefkeeper. These messages pop up, but why doesn't he just post his comment? I guess YouTube keeps on taking it down. Anyways, Burley's back. He's asking, could you, actually you can't even see this because it's so far down here, but he's asking, could you demo pullback scenarios on the HPDRV and the HPDRO like you do with BBWP and RSI? Yeah. You could definitely do that. You know, obviously the HPDRO turning down below the moving average alongside HPDRV doing the same thing. Going into a contraction phase, you know, you're probably going to see a pullback, but remember that HPDRO is indexed from negative 100 to 100. So, you know, when you see HPDRO switch from, you know, severe downside momentum in the negative territory and then flip back on up, that's when, alongside a contraction phase in HPDRV, you're probably going to be looking at a bounce, for example. So a slight nuance there just because of the way that it, you know, it is shown. And I think that's it for... Yeah, that seems to be it for our members today. So yeah, nice. Let's go into the Discord here. Again, anyone can join in on the Discord for free. It's just, you know, there's limited time. So we'll see. Oh, and I forgot to record time here. So started about 30 minutes from now, I guess. Anyways, I'll post a new thread at the end of this video as well. And just be first come, first serve, and I'll do my best to get to as many as possible. Tristram says, hello, Zer. Could you please draw some meme lines? Do you mean LARP lines for Solana daily and weekly? I think we looked at Solana yesterday. I don't really have much new to say about this. You know, I also made a Twitter post about this a few days ago or a week ago. This thing, I mean, it's already made new all-time highs, so it's already kind of fulfilled that condition. But, you know, this thing is in actual breakout mode right here. Monthly momentum back onto the upside. You know, this month very likely, I mean, hopefully close on new all-time highs if you see anything like that. Really good sign that this thing is going to have sort of a Bitcoin-esque type of run here, or, you know, relatively similar to that. Areas of interest to the upside, 360, 450, 500. Those are the big ones kind of upcoming. Of course, not going to happen all in one day, but those are the big ones that I'd be looking on from here and up. Even looking at the daily, I mean, the daily looks like it's probably going to try for continuation from here. If you do see any sort of pullback back down to 225-ish region, it's fine. This thing really only switches around below about 220, let's say, on a higher term time from closing basis. Until then, you know, the trend is your friend, and the path of least resistance here is to the upside. Would like to see that nice monthly closure though, but so far so good. With only, I don't know, about 7 days left. How many days are in November? 30? Yeah, 30, so 7 days. All right, cool. Let's see. VC says, so it's like he read Tristram's mind. Yeah, short-term continuation, long-term continuation. kind of generally gave out the areas of interest already. AC says, how would someone get into quant trading firm from a software engineering background? You were a quant in Chicago, right? No, I was technically not a quant. What I was a market maker authorized trader with a Series 56. And that was my official position, which meant that I could basically be, a market maker alongside of my mentor who owned like the main account basically. So I was not a part of a quant firm. That's a different thing. Market making firm is different than a quant firm. People actually get this mixed up a lot. People think that market makers like literally move the market. That's not really how it works. Quant firms or big hedge funds typically move the markets. Market makers are just interested in delta neutral strategies. They don't really care about price direction. And that's a very easy litmus test to tell if anyone absolutely knows even a modicum of shit about about what the hell they're talking about. Anyways, okay, cool. So, what about your question? How would you get into a quant firm? Do a Google search for quant firms. You're probably gonna have to go to one of the major cities. That being Chicago, New York. To a lesser degree, San Francisco, Miami, these sort of places, also have exchanges and also have, bigger firms around there. It is a little bit different nowadays because things are online, so maybe you can kind of get away with remote, but Chicago is kind of the mecca for that. So, do a search for quant firms around there. You can go to their websites. They usually say if they're hiring or not. And if you're a software engineer, I think those are in high demand. The thing that's in most high demand actually is mathematicians for quant firms. Mathematicians who can do computer science, especially. Anyways, Jim says, hey, Crown, do you think options on Bitcoin ETFs will have an impact on the market? Is it a good idea to hedge with options when the time comes for selling spot? Okay, so do I think that options will have an effect on Bitcoin ETFs? It's going to have an effect on Bitcoin price. Obviously, just more derivative contracts being offered is going to, hopefully provide more liquidity to the market. Liquidity is a massively misunderstood, word because people think of liquidity as like, oh, liquidity comes in and it must be people buying. No, shut up, stop. Just means that there is, more people in the order books looking to fill their positions. So price actually will start to move slower when options come about. And always remember, and this is coming from someone who actually used to work as a market maker authorized trader. Options were created to be sold. I think it's either 70 or 80% of options expire worthless. It's a lottery ticket, basically, for the uninitiated. Anyways, is it a good idea to hedge with options when the time comes versus selling spot? It completely depends on how you want to manage things. Now, if you hedge with options, let's say you buy let's say you buy a bunch of puts when you think the market is topped and then Bitcoin goes down. Well, if those puts are going to be in the money, you're going to effectively sell that anyways. And to be fair, are you going to make more money buying puts? Doing that while being long stock? Actually probably yes, because those put options are going to be very, very expensive, especially at the beginning of a downturn of a market because volatility goes up. And that's one of the major components of pricing an option. Selling spot, it's a little bit more straightforward. Really comes down to what you want to do. I think in general, if you're not trading options versus options, it's probably better to just do spot, but it just complicates things more. But yeah, either way is fine, honestly. Whatever's easier for you, and typically selling spot straight up against it is going to be easier on margin requirements and whatnot. It should always be easier on margin requirements. But yeah, fair enough. Obviously, buying puts would give you a little bit of leeway if you're wrong. It's basically like having a stop loss with a fixed price that you will lose out on if you're wrong. So. Again, comes down to that. D says, hey, Crown, thanks for everything you do. All good, man. Could you talk a little bit about having leverage trades open for a long period of time and if it's a good idea or bad idea, obviously, if you're out of liquidation danger? So I think you're probably getting towards the issue that a lot of people talk about with fees. If you're familiar with most crypto exchanges that offer inverse perpetuals or perpetual contracts in general, they will have what's called a funding period every 4 or 8 hours where either longs pay shorts or shorts pay longs. Now, generally, when the market is to the upside, you're going to have a situation where longs will pay shorts. So you'll end up paying these funding fees for your position, and the longer that you hold it, the more and more that you're probably going to pay. It could be a relatively small amount. It could start to be a pretty big amount, especially during massive moves like we're seeing right now. You will see that funding rate go to some pretty extreme levels, like 0.1% and even higher than that. So you will start to pay a lot when those funding rates come about and stay about for a couple weeks at a time. Now, the resolution to this issue, although it does come with its own issues, is what you can do is you can go to an actual futures contract on your exchange of choice, whether it be Bloffer, Bybit, Herpety-Derp, Binance, whatever the fuck. And you can buy like an actual futures contract with an expiration date, not a perpetual, but an expiration date. Those do not have funding periods, at least last I checked. So you'd avoid that. The issue is that they are less liquid and you pay premium over spot, because that's how futures work, and maybe or maybe not that will affect you. So yeah. UNC Golfer says, thanks for hosting the Q&A. Been in the cave for 3 years. Fuck yeah, man. One area of opportunity for me is entry and closing the position. What are your recommendations for entering shorts, longs? This is a fucking long ass conversation, man. I don't know if I'm going to do this on a relatively short Q&A like this. I often get stopped out on bounces near entry and struggle to recognize when the bottom hits. Okay, so it's current strategy has a 38% win rate. Okay, so it seems like you actually have a strategy. You just need to optimize that strategy a little bit better, because your entries are not very good, it would seem, from your own message here. Entry and exit based on EMA, exhaustion bars, BBWP, dual light, RSI divergence. Overtrading, overthinking is an issue. Then that means that you probably haven't systematized this. Position size is based on time frame, which is 4 hour to 5 minute, ideally anticipating smaller gains. Okay, so what I would say is the answer to any strategy question is always, 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 you need to have a predefined plan, and everything within that plan, your entry, exit, and risk management point, needs to be objectively defined. If you have not done that, you do not have a real plan. You have a discretionary plan, and as you stated, you will start to overthink and overtrade and fuck around and not play out your plan, basically, given enough time when you get into a high stress situation. So what I would suggest to you is to go back into the lab and work around this strategy. If it sounds like, on one hand, it kind of sounds like you have one, and on the other hand, it's very obvious that you don't, because otherwise overtrading, overthinking would not be an issue. That is the purpose of having a strategy. All decisions must be systematized so that they are made much further in advance than you ever even took the trade. That's why I love my tool, the Quant Prime, because it literally has to be objectively defined, because that's the only way that a fucking algo is going to work. Is it going to be perfect? No, it's going to miss some of the nuance of certain things. Sure. But you get the added benefit of, not having to even think about it really at all once you start to execute. Based off your last message here, I think it's quite clear that you don't have a real strategy. So what I would say is go back to the drawing board. You can check out on this channel. There's a playlist called Strategy Development. You can model any one of those strategies, iterate off of them, and that'll be a good starting point for a strategy. But you need something that's objectively defined. You cannot get away, in my opinion, long term with this sort of discretionary type trading style, because there's just going to be a time where something fucking weird happens. Maybe you didn't sleep well. Maybe you're just feeling some type of way and you freak out, and you're basically risking more than what you probably should have. So yeah. TX Sig Ep 13 says, thanks for the daily insights. You shined a better light on TA than Bareth. I understand who you're referencing there. Well, the thing is, I'm not really doing technical analysis. What I'm doing is statistical analysis and quantitative analysis. That's really the difference between my channel and most other channels out there. There are some other channels out there who do TA, who very often, come to the same conclusions as myself. Fibbo Swani's one, Jason Pizzino's one. His brother Michael Pacino is another one, and there's certainly a few others out there as well who are making daily YouTube videos. But I think in general, most people come into issues exactly for the prior question that we just went into. Is that they don't have a real defined strategy, and a real strategy can be as simple as just trend trading, by the way. But it needs to be objectively defined with all of the entry and exit mechanisms. So yeah. Anyways, do you put any stock into MC/TVL ratios? No, because that's not something that I know anything about. You mean market cap versus total value locked ratios? Yeah, I don't look at that. Doesn't mean that it can't be interesting or a value, but I don't care because I'm more equipped to look at charts than I am a fundamental like that. Which I think is very difficult to trade to begin with. Again, it's like, where's your objective definition of like how that's good or bad? I don't know. I mean, maybe it can work. I'm just saying I don't do that. So yeah. Anyways, Steph says DYDX, USDT on the weekly. Okay, is it a bottom? I don't know. DYDX. Let's see. Is it a bottom? It is a bottom. Is it the bottom for forever? I don't know. Again, we have another chart here that just always goes down. Every pop just leads to the next macro lower high. So I always hate charts like this. Do I think it has some more upside from here? Yeah, probably trades up towards 180, but can't really get excited about a shit chart like this until you're back above this set of highs right here, the last range highs, which is 415 on a weekly closing base. At that point, you have a macro reversal. Until then, it's just short-term reversal, probably trades higher. I think 180 is quite likely, maybe even $2.50 is quite likely, but yeah, I mean, monthly momentum should turn up here. So next move should be up. Continuation is just, is this the low for forever? I would not feel comfortable saying that. Jay Brown 777 says, my main holdings are in Bitcoin. I'm still somewhat young and wanting to maximize my profits this cycle. When could one strategize to rotate Bitcoin into altcoins using Bitcoin dominance? Total 3. I think using Bitcoin dominance or total 3, well, Bitcoin dominance to a greater degree is a complete fucking misunderstanding of what that metric is. There's so much fucking focus on Bitcoin dominance, and it really does not matter, in my opinion, because it's not telling you what you think it's telling you to begin with. You're looking at Bitcoin dominance as a barometer for alt season, and Bitcoin dominance has been straight to the upside since the beginning of 2023. It's been basically a straight shot to the upside, and probably continues here more as well. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but my point is that during this time, you saw a lot of strong alts go rally way more than Bitcoin ever did. And that's really what you're looking for as a barometer of Bitcoin dominance. So if you're waiting for this thing to turn around to then get into alts, you've missed out on the strongest ones and the fastest ones that already moved. So if you're going to play that game, I don't play that game, but if you're going to play that game. So people like to talk about this because, I don't know, it makes them feel good or some shit. But they don't even understand like what they're looking at. Because remember, Bitcoin dominance, what is this measuring? It's measuring Bitcoin's market cap versus the rest of the cryptocurrency landscape. And there are new shitcoins being created each and every day that have basically zero value, but because they get added to that list and they get compared versus Bitcoin here, that this metric is not like, it's not super accurate. It's not super accurate. So yeah, the best way is to look at whatever shitcoin that you were perhaps interested in, look at it versus its Bitcoin pairing. If its Bitcoin pairing has been in an uptrend, it's a good sign. Here's an example, Solana, BTC, and if we bring it up right here, I guess Binance, you can see that Solana versus Bitcoin has been in a nice uptrend since about mid 2023. So that's a really good sign. You are outpacing Bitcoin gains right here with Solana. It's stronger compared to Bitcoin. That's what you're looking for in an alt season anyways. If you're just looking for like the last couple months of of the cycle where like the super shitty old altcoins get like their first pop in years, and they do go up a decent percentage wise, but certainly not as much as the strong ones that have already moved in this cycle, then, you're playing a different game, and I think it's a silly game. You should probably just wait for Bitcoin to top first. That'd be the easiest way, I guess. But yeah, again, the answer to this rant would be look at your favorite altcoin or whatever altcoin that you're considering versus its Bitcoin pair. When it goes into an uptrend, especially on a higher term time frame like a weekly, you're probably good. EMS Rectops says, absolutely love your daily shows. Awesome, man. Been following religiously since 2020. Fuck yeah. Do you think you could sneak a quick Bitcoin analysis on top of, I mean, if you just want me to do like a super basic one right here, looking at Bitcoin 4-hour time frame, this weekend would be a pretty good time for a pullback if I had to guess. We see that 4-hour BBWP is starting to, go into a contraction phase after, hitting some pretty extreme conditions. We see 4-hour RSI putting in 1, 2, 3 drives of bearish divergence here. So, if it wants to play a pullback, maybe somewhere back down around here, that's completely fine. I still think it's likely set up for another try higher above 100,000 this coming week, especially as it is going to be a holiday week. Things typically, just kind of float up and to the right during that time. Not always, but typically. And it would be great to have, Bitcoin hitting 100,000 during Thanksgiving dinner. Everyone's fucking talking about it, blah, 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 blah. Very 2017-esque reminiscent. So yeah, that's really all I'd have to say about that. Other than that, my general thoughts on Bitcoin still stand. I think that it goes higher here. If you get a short-term pullback, fine. If you don't, that's also fine. Yeah. Cool. Crisp says, good day, sir. What's up, man? What is the buy, alts or Tesla? Well, alts are going to have potential for greater percentage moves. It's a strong one. Tesla is going to have a higher probability to not be an absolute piece of shit and just dump and rug pull you out of nowhere. So depends on your risk tolerance, really. Yeah, man, that's a question that only you can answer. The Muzzle says, why is Elsa testicles and Eric vagina? I don't know. Could you tell me? Also, I wanted to thank you for doing this stream. Because Elsa is the man of this house. That's right. It's a great way for the poor and lobotomized morons like me to get questions answered. All good, man. It's like, that's what I wanted to know today. Fair enough. I'll have to think about it. Rolling says, hey, Crown, been following you since 2021. Fuck yeah, man. Every day. Shit, dude. Took all your classes. Mastering the Jewel. Appreciate you and Elsa Big Boss. That's really awesome, man. Waiting very patiently for you to start selling your fitted hats with the gold K. We need merch. Yeah, man. Unfortunately, we don't really, I don't know, unless if Elsa designs something, we don't really have the method of doing that any longer. Anyways, you're asking about ZEPH, daily and monthly looking good. Well, let's see. ZEPH. I don't think I've ever seen this one. It has a cool name, Zephyr. So that's usually half the battle when it comes to shitcoins. Bad. Very, very bad here. If I had my nuke button, I would nuke it, but I don't have it on this one. Again, whenever I see something that just goes down, while the rest of the market has been rallying to the moon and beyond, it's not a good sign. Doesn't mean that I can't get a pop here. Maybe it's putting in a weekly high or low. It's definitely possible given the overall market conditions. That does offer up a very, very obvious way of invalidating it, which would be back down below 180 or this week's lows. Until then, probably does have a low in here where you just confirm that you do have a macro reversal. It's difficult, but basically right here, 545, which is a very big move from where it's at right now. So, the problem with things like this is that, you can get a quick pop, it sells back on off, and you continue on with trend, or obviously the bullish view is that you're going to get a quick pop, pulls back, and then maybe gives a try. But the key area is the 545 area. In my opinion, this thing is a relatively weak thing. Doesn't mean that it can't have a nice upside move here, a big percentage move, but it's a long ways away from confirming anything resembling an uptrend. All right, let me take a sip of this water. Okay. Let's see. Shark Attack says, when switching from investing to trading, if you treat trading like a job, how long should you expect it to take before you can be profitable, assuming you have a profitable system and good risk management? Well, if you have a profitable system and good risk management, which is one and the same thing, then you would be profitable right off the bat. So I'm guessing the real question is, how long would it take to create a system? If you're starting from literal scratch, I think it could take, you know, as little as 6 months. I've seen some people get there, and as long as like 2 years, or in some cases just never, you know, of course. But of course, you're treating it like a job that puts you above the people who are just kind of, you know, diddly daddling and not really actually putting in real effort. But if you are switching from investing to trading, then you already have at least some know-how of the basics, which should translate over. Just trading is more short-term investing, basically, in a way. Now, you know, as far as profitable system, of course, that's what a lot of the content on this channel is focused on. We have our free playlist here with regards to strategy development. I should give you kind of a, you know, a general outlook or sort of a model to you know, to work off of, if you like. And then of course we also have our programs as well. But yeah, you know, could be like I said, if you're starting from scratch, and especially like the people who go through the programs and whatnot, like the Trade Like a Quant program, 6 months to about a year and a half is where I see it for most people who like really do put in the effort before they get comfortable, again, starting from basically scratch. Anyways, Link says, "Hey Crown, just want to say thank you for the content. It's I love it, man. I love doing it. It's actually really, really fun because it makes every day, you know, different. Figuring out what the fuck to look at, and it's like a puzzle that never gets solved. Your approach to statistics and probabilities, yeah, that's really what I want this channel to be focused on. It's not gonna be perfect, but we want to be right more often than not. That's the idea. Been listening for 4.5 years now. Holy shit, man, that's awesome. I'm an orthopedic surgeon in Australia and actually use a few of your videos and your comments on statistics, historical modeling, and validations to teach the surgical trainees on choosing implants. Good. We need more bigger boobs in the world. Beautiful. Yes. If you're ever in, oh man, we really want to go to Australia. It seems like it's actually just a perfect place. Honestly, it's so far, man. It's so far. Why do they have to do this? Elsa wants to pet the koalas as well. Anyways, you often quote your mentor who taught you a lot when you started trading. Can I ask if you started traditional? Yeah, I did start in traditional markets. My father was a trader, so he would bring me down to the floor of the exchange every summer since like I was 11, and I kind of learned a little bit that way. Then of course I went into a more formal setting on the floor of New York Stock Exchange ARCA, you know, right out of college. So yeah, his trading career, or sorry, I'm not reading this properly. What was your mentor's trading or career background, and what were some of the most valuable lessons you learned? So his background was trading stock and then also trading equity options as well. And he actually was one of the first people kind of using technical analysis. I mean, you have to understand that this field of study, I guess, is pretty new. You know, maybe goes back to like the 70s or 80s. And I think he started in mid 80s. So yeah, anyways, what are the most valuable lessons you learned? I mean, there's so many, man, and I think about them all the time, and how lucky I was to even just be around this person, you know, and my father growing up. I mean, probably the most important one, because it was the most integral to me becoming like consistent, was just respecting the trend. The trend is your friend. The trend is your friend. Trend is your friend. If you trade with the trend, you're gonna be in a better position than most, more often than not. And then you'd also always go on about never marrying your positions. But a lot of these things kind of come up in the moment when I go through like you know, a situation, and then I remember, you know, his voice in the back of my mind. But yeah. And then also his advice from very young was do not trust the media when it comes to markets, or I guess most things as well. But when it comes to markets, you know, the media is usually, when the media gets interested and starts, you know, printing headlines, that's usually near the end of an actual move, which is very common knowledge now. But for me, it was just very much ingrained early on. Be aware, be very aware of when things get kind of exuberant and irrational. M says, "Hey Crown, appreciate your work. All good, man." Shout out from Scotland. Fuck yeah. Very difficult accent. Are you pussy or are you balls? Today, I'm actually feeling a little bit pussy. Gonna go sparring a little bit later, and I'm scared. A lot of big guys. Anyways, could you please look at the RBLX daily and weekly? All right. RBLX. Roblox. Weekly, right around your range highs. Very common to sell off after a retest of your range highs. That's exactly what it's doing right here. The sell-off can continue lower if it wants, but it's higher low watch anywhere above about 45 bucks. I'd get excited on a weekly closure above 52.5. At that point, this thing can really run towards 70 to 80-ish region, maybe even more than that over time. Daily time frame, I think, does remain corrective for a little bit longer. Probably does come a little bit lower in the short term towards 46.5 or so. I would only get bearish on this thing if you trade below your October the 21st low. Until then, the uptrend remains intact, and to give it a chance here. All right, back into it here. We have Toby. Toby is our resident hexer, and he's literally posted every fucking hex chart possible. So we can't do all of that, man. Again, have to limit it to one here. A little bit of awareness, sir, but all good. We can look at Pulse. I actually have Pulse on my list here. So I am aware that this is not the full chart of Pulse because it's been around before May of 2024. But for the chart that we do have right here, the reversal is real. It is in its actual breakout. So whatever bull market it's going to have is going to happen essentially from here, off of that, off of the closure above about 6,000, whatever the hell number that is. How high can this thing go in the short term? Well, okay, I shouldn't say short term, but likely on this move over the next, over the coming weeks, probably somewhere around here, which is not 1-ish region, and perhaps it can go for more from there. But the rally is real, the reversal is real. I'd be bullish on this, especially as long as it's above this week's low. I don't really see any reason to be bearish, but I am at lack of a real chart here, so. It really depends where a lot of the lower highs were kind of coming in around on the way down. But we just don't have this information from TradingView here. So, yeah, I think continues up there. C, let me actually take that off. Crypto Wrecked says, "Hey, Crown, how are you?" I'm all right, man. Good night of sleep last night, but still quite tired. I don't know why. Could you please look at Zig, weekly and monthly? Sure, man. Zig and Zag. Zignally, pretty good. Again, we have a strong chart at all-time highs already. Any sort of a closure here or higher, and the all-time high party should continue on into the next month, I would expect. Areas of interest, the upside from that, again, assuming that condition is met, you have about 16.25 cents short term, more longer term, 18 or closer to 19 cents, let's say, and then you got 21 and 23. Those would be the big ones. Again, breakout is real here as long as you're above about, let's just call it a little bit above 14 cents. Whatever your high was from late July. Overall, pretty good. Daily time frame, maybe find a little bit of a pushback here. So we'll see where the weekly ends. I mean, it is very possible that it does come back down below here. If it does, okay, consolidation for a little bit longer. Expect it to come back down towards 11 cents or so if that does happen. Anyways. Let's see. Asiak Barash says, "Hey, Crown, could you please take a look at Tron weekly, monthly?" Sure. I think we looked at this one the other day as well, and it's actually really good. Yeah, making new all-time highs again today. Weekly, it did close above the boundary that has been keeping this one in since 2018. I look at that as a pretty good sign. The rally and breakout is real. Volatility expanding here. Monthly should follow through. This one is in rally mode here, and probably looking at this thing. To probably double from here, around there, maybe somewhere around 45 to 50 cents. Of course, it's going to take some time, but this is good. I would invalidate that statement, however, if you do see a daily closure back down below about 18 cents or 17.5 cents. Until then, up is the direction of highest probability here. Probably going to get the double derp signal on the daily BBWP as well, by the way. Yeah. All right. Let's see how long my camera lasts, because that'll probably call very well the end of this video. All right. And when do you plan to release a sequential? It's actually already released. It's released as a part of the package with the historical price action statistics indicator. So they come together. It is highly underutilized right now. I don't think people have actually woken up to the potential of these things. Just more statistical goodness from Caretaker. But yeah. Have I thought about using it for a strategy? It's more so for an idea of the probabilities of current runs is kind of the way that I look at it right now. But we'll see. We'll see. It's still pretty new, so perhaps I find another way, or perhaps someone else finds another way as well. Marutopia says, how to identify long strategies during a bear market bearish trend. How do I identify? I mean, you backtest them. That's how you do it. I'm guessing your question is really like, how do you figure something out? If I was going to do something with that, I'd probably want to include volatility, and I'd probably want to include some sort of momentum oscillator, maybe something as simple as an RSI, wait for bullish divergence plus volatility going into a contraction phase. That's probably a good indication of a bounce to come, especially if you get 3 drives of bullish divergence. But you need to put that into a system with objectively defined areas for confirming all of those conditions. Anyways, Mythrandir, very, very, very clever, sir. A Gandalf reference here. If you didn't know, Mythrandir is what the Gondorians called Gandalf. They didn't call him Gandalf. Anyways, cheers, mate. How do you not overfit your strategies during the optimization stage? So the best way to guard against this is something called what is it called? I was gonna call it future proofing, but that's not the forwards testing. Forwards testing. If you're in the Quant Prime service, or I believe as well the Trade Like a Quant program as well, then there is very specifically a video demonstration on that and how to do that. But yeah, also a good sort of indication is that when you start to really tool specific settings in a strategy, and like you're putting something up by like 0.1, 0.2 from your initial settings, and it's not and it's changing like significantly, probably overfitted. Bugsy says, hello there, Sir Crown. What's up, man? Sorry for sounding stupid, but I'd really like to know. Well, let's see. What time frames are you considering when doing a short time trade, and what time frame for a long-term position? I mean, my bots take care of this, and I don't care about short-term or long-term. It's just the strategies that they play out. I have one right now on the 30-minute time frame and one on the 12-hour time frame. It doesn't mean that you have to have those. It's just a definitional thing. Whatever time frame you trade, just understand that is the time frame that you're trading, and to be adherent to the likely length that it's going to take to play that out. Just because I say a short-term trade must be on an hourly or below, it doesn't mean that you have to define it in the same way. You could say it's a 5-minute and below, because an hourly and below on traditional markets is not as short-term as it would be on crypto, which trades 24/7. Also, do you know where the expression dead cat bounce comes from? Yes. When cats or any animal dies, or when we die, we experience something called rigor mortis, and it makes your body extremely stiff. So people would like pick up, I don't know, dead cats and drop them, and then they'd bounce because they're so fucking stiff. Something like that. Matthew Smead says, GM, sirs, zers, and lobotomites. Good morning to you, sir. Sir, when Monkey Boy? It is Monkey Boy time already, man. Much love as well from the head lobotomite. Teresa says, hey, Crown, can you take a look at PP weekly and talk about next potential targets? Yes, my PP needs shaving. It's a breakout. The breakout continues up. Do you have any real targets for this? I mean, maybe I can come up with some areas of interest. I don't know how useful this will be. It's already hit one of the major ones. The next one is going to be 30,000-ish or 32,000. Then you got 36,000, 42,000, et cetera. I don't necessarily know which one of those is going to get hit, but I'll just generally be looking up and to the right. The rally is real. The breakout's real. Continuation also very likely to be real as long as it's above last week's low. Below last week's low, something else going on, very bad. Ron says, what do you think is the macro top for the cycle? Just pure guess. Okay, this is not so much stand behind. I don't want to be held to this, but if I'm just throwing out a number to answer a flippant question, it would be 160,000. Pulled straight out of my asshole. Bull Tardio says, hello, Crown. Could you please backtest the following strategy for Bitcoin? No, you can do it. But it's like, do my homework for me. No. Buy when price drops 30% from local top, sell at 30% profit. I would assume that's not going to work because guess what's going to happen at some point? You are going to buy when price drops 30%, and it's going to be a bear market, and it's not going to go up 30%. Yeah, man. Risk management 5% below entry. I would intuitively think that that's not going to be a viable strategy long term, but I have not tested it, and I won't test it. To be honest, I do have to draw a line somewhere, man. ASCII Barash says, hello again, sir. Please bring back the soundboard when doing analysis, or has the shitcoin police been defunded? Defund the police. They got him. Possibly, man. Actually, I don't have my soundboard here in Dubai, but when we go back to Finland, we shall. Banksy Rule says, longtime viewer, credit to call out from Elliot in 2020. Fuck yeah, man. He is indeed the man. Not much of a trading, but taking in technical analysis daily is a big part of my overall investment approach. Fair enough. I need to sell some positions to take care of year-end taxes and other lifestyle costs. We need to come from my Solana, Coinbase, and MicroStrategy bags. Hate to sell any of them. If Bitcoin hits 120,000 at, let's say, the end of Q1, what are the target ranges for all three? Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Northern California as well. I grew up around there. And also consider offering 10-minute I've gotten this question a few times. I don't want to sound ungrateful or pompous or anything like that, but I'm not interested in doing that because I feel like if I was to put a price on a time that I would be okay with kind of like making that concession, because I really value my free time, it would just be kind of rude, and I think it's send the wrong message, honestly. But yeah, I do appreciate the sentiment, man. Anyways, if Bitcoin hit 120,000 bucks, where do I think Solana is going to be? Probably 500, 600. Where do I think Coinbase is going to be? Probably, I don't know, 350 to 400-ish region. Where do I think MicroStrategy is going to be? That one I really wouldn't know. But again, I'm pulling a lot of these numbers out of my ass. I think that Solana and Coinbase will hit those numbers. It's just, does it come alongside 120,000 Bitcoin? I don't know. And it would seem to me that 120,000 probably does get hit earlier than the end of Q1. But hey, again, right now it's recency bias because Bitcoin's been moving so fast. All right. Crypto Occasion says, hello, Mr. Crown. Can you do some TA on Ethereum Classic? Holy shit. Wow. I haven't seen this one called out in, it's got to be years now. Always a bad sign when this thing's rallying. But hey, it does hold its macro cycle higher lows. So there is that. That's better than 99% of other shitcoins out there. Do I think it's going to retest these highs from March of this year? Probably yes. But and I'd actually call that this, and not only that, but if and when you do see it close above about, let's just call it $40, it should generally retest these highs here and probably make new highs. Again, that would be kind of like a cycle play. It'd take a long time is what I'm trying to say. But for right now, it does look like the monthly higher lows in place. It's a laggard, yes, not as strong as others, but hey, hard to hate. Very likely does continue upside on the higher term timeframes. I think we have time for maybe two more. I'm already going over time here, actually. Fair enough. I do enjoy these quite a fair bit. Let's see. Billy Joe Winghead says, long-time listener, first-time caller. Awesome, man. Do you feel it's possible to outperform buy and hold? I mean, if you're buying and holding for 10 years in Bitcoin, then obviously not. If you're trading like short-term timeframes compared to that, it's just, you can't, okay, I shouldn't say that you can't, but it's going to be really fucking difficult to outperform something that moves. I mean, let's just go to Bitcoin right here. I mean, I think the question should be quite obvious. Like 10 years, what is that, 6 billion%? No. I don't think it can be done. But of course, it comes down to your preference. If you can hold for that time and you don't need the cash, then perhaps that's a really good do. And I've been doing that more and more myself, not just in Bitcoin, but also in traditional markets as well. But if you need to build up your equity to where that's even relevant to begin with, then I think short-term time frame trading is a better do, because you can make things a little bit faster. So yeah. Tax are not an issue, but it's an IRA. Yeah. Wait, what? Oh, altcoin performance. If you're buying, no, the problem with holding altcoins is that 99% of them trade or trend towards zero over time. They don't actually go up. So that's a different question. But if it's Bitcoin, then yes. Maybe some of the other stronger alts, yeah, absolutely. But they're few and far between. And if it's a question of whether it's the right one or not, it's probably not. Yeah. Anyways, appreciate that, man. Looking forward to having more fights. Hopefully in Vegas this next time. Cass says With and Goat. Maybe we'll just end on Goat here. Goatius Maximus, one of my favorite names for a shitcoin. Although I own none of it, and I just think it's funny. I don't know, what exchange should we even go to for this? Goat coin. Not much of a chart here, man. I don't know what sort of analysis to give you on a chart like this, to be honest. I don't have a real answer for this. Maybe it's another pop towards, close to $1, but still lower highs the whole way through. So hard to love it here. Because even then it, probably comes back down. So maybe we'll do one more. Could you please put on the dwarf song and stream along like in previous live streams? We shall do that in the future, my man. We shall do that in the future. Air Raid says, hello, Crown. Do you ever trade lower time frames like 30-minute and lower? Again, my bots handle all of this with the Quant Prime service. And one of them is focused on a 30-minute strategy right now, kind of testing that one out. And I mean, is it profitable compared to longer trends and higher time frames? I mean, it's profitable. Is it going to be more profitable than higher term time frames, which naturally have a greater delta between your entry and exit? Of course not. A 30-minute time frame, you might be trading for like a few $100, whereas a daily time frame, you're going to be trading for a few $1,000 or perhaps more than that in terms of like entry versus exit. So yeah. All right. Okay, one last one for JMW, just because I know him, and we'll end on this one for sure. And to answer the next question right here, just hold. is probably what I would have done. No, I would have, obviously, if I knew what I knew now, I'd just trade it perfectly, right? I'm pretty happy with my results from there, though, so I probably wouldn't change much. But if I had more equity during that time, I would have just held, most likely. Anyways, can you give a brief description, or sorry, no, during 2017, I probably should have hit the green button more. What I did very, very well was short 2018 near the highs. That's where I had some really, really good results. But the actual upside market, I think probably got outperformed by most people who were just hitting the green button and not really doing much. All right, JMW says, can you give a brief description of what the fib line represents and how to use the fib line in the Joule with other fast, slow lines? Yeah, okay. Let me bring up my Joule right here. Okay, so the fib lines represent essentially the auto fib, which is just giving you an indication of kind of where the oscillator is at with regards to the index. So this line right here would be the 61.8 level. That's why it's literally at 61.8. Although it's 61.80, but it is the 618 level essentially. And then this is the 38.2 right here. These are the two big ones that I like to pay attention to. And basically you'll notice that the oscillator turns around a lot around these points, and they are typically pretty damn good pivot points. So when you see something like that, when you see it turn around right here, for example, that is a strong signal. It's not even, it's also giving you a perfect signal right here supported by DMI. So let's actually see what happened on price. Yeah, it's like the story tells itself. So, taking that signal right there, that's a 24% move. And let's find another one on the other side when you actually see it flip to the upside. Let's see. Yeah, so we have a good one right here, actually. Let me just mark it off, and then we'll see what it is on the chart. This perfect, right? Perfect. So typically the biggest moves don't come from when the Joule is super, super low. They actually come from this region right here. And this is not even in the perfect posturing, by the way, as well. So when you see the Joule turn around these regions, especially if it's supported by the other ones as well, the slow and the high, but even on its own, those are typically pretty strong signals that do have like real follow through, both the upside and the downside. And we just had a couple of good examples right there. So yeah, that'll be a good place for me to be leaving off on this one. These videos are now getting closer to an hour rather than 30 minutes, so I'm gonna have to be a little bit better about this going forwards. Again, if you want priority in the future, you can join the channel here in the it's like this button. Wait, no, it's not the edit button, but the join button right here, and I will post a new thread right now. So yeah, been an absolute pleasure as always. Is my camera still working? It is still working. Nice. With that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully next time.